Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and it's the Saturday after the debut of Retaliation in theaters, G.I. Joe Retaliation. I got to see it late Friday afternoon, and I got to say, it was a fantastic movie. Now, before I go any further, I want you guys to go check out the What's on Joe Mind special edition movie review, because basically what it originally was myself, Gary, Mike, Justin, and our friend Craig from the Fooshcast coming on to talk about the movie. Well, towards the end, Justin got off for a little bit saying he has a little surprise for us, and we brought on John Chu, director of the movie, for a brief interview. Basically, he came on, answered a lot of the questions we had about the movie, some certain things. Just go listen to it. With that said, I don't want to be redundant with what I brought up in that episode in terms of the film review. All I will say is it was a fantastic movie, and going forward, if this is what the Joe brand is going to be, I'm fine with it, because I think it's fantastic. It really did feel like a G.I. Joe movie, as opposed to Rise of Cobra, that I think felt like more like a generic futuristic military movie. I'm trying to think, like, what do I want to focus on? And I think just because, being the English major and all, I want to focus on the character development. Because, first thing I learned when I was in high school and college is plot isn't important. See, this is why I always get pissed off about, spoilers and people going nuts about spoilers. Plot isn't important. It's how the characters respond to what happens is what's important. And the example I always give is, it doesn't matter Darth Vader is Luke's father. What matters is how Luke develops as a character. And really, for me, the one character in Retaliation that I think changed and started at one point and finished at another point at the end of the movie was Lady J. The movie starts, she's the female member of Duke's team with Roadblock and Flint and the rest of them. And then, we get a little more. Why did she join the military? She was seeking approval from her father. She actually, there was a little bit of a antagonistic relationship between her and her father, but really it was her looking for his approval, looking to be seen as worthwhile. And, throughout the course of the movie, we see that, she is a capable soldier, and that, she is very good. And then there at the very end, when she's getting her award from General Joe Colton, he says, I knew your father, he would have been proud of you. And, we see that look on her face that, like a burden has been lifted off her shoulder, that now she has that, that confirmation, that validated, her entire adult life has been made valid. So, other than that, Roadblock, and if you notice, I'm saying Roadblock, not Rock Block, because this was fantastic. I'm watching that movie, and Dwayne Johnson really made me feel he was Roadblock. He had a little bit of growth where he went from the second in command and had to become the team leader, but that came very quickly. It was just, that's really how the military is. The leader goes down, he takes over. And when I say the leader goes down, yes, Duke died, but, and again, listen to the What's on Joe Mind special, it was left a little ambiguous. So I think they have an out. Also, one thing I was expecting but didn't happen is the team from the first movie, Scarlet, Breaker, Heavy Duty, they're not there. So it's very possible they're still alive. But yeah, the one character I think that stood out for me was Firefly. Uh, I think they nailed it. John Chu, the writers, and Ray Stevenson really got what Firefly and who Firefly was. I know this was a little bit of a disagreement between Gary and myself because he's more of the comic book guy. And in the comics, Firefly was Eastern European, possibly Asian. He was the faceless master of the Rishikage. He had all that ninja background and stuff, very quiet. This is not how we expected him to be. I come from the cartoon where, frankly, over the course of the seasons that Firefly was featured, he only maybe said 2 lines. I'm not even sure it was the same voice actor. So it was a little open on my end for what Firefly can do. I gotta tell you, I am really looking forward to getting a Firefly figure, even the one with that sled. I know there's the one in the 3-pack, and then there's the ultimate one coming, but I really want the one in the sled, like the sled, because I like the dual. Because that's the thing, he was using pistols for most of the film, and that's how I always envisioned Firefly. He wouldn't carry a large, like, assault rifle or something like that. He would need to use a pistol or a couple pistols because he needs his hands free to plant his explosives. And I gotta tell you, the Firefly explosives were cool. I mean, the way they just worked, it was great. I mean, I even want now, I'm thinking about getting the Firefly motorcycle. Just because, it does, launch a tire and it explodes. Because it disassembles and becomes explosives. So, I mean, I have to check with Gary, who has one, and see if it will fit like a normal Firefly figure. But I have to say, it was perfect character. I was disappointed he dies in the end. And unfortunately, it's one of these, it's not like Duke. It's very clear he's gone and there's nothing left. And that's all I'm going to say. You have to see how he goes out. But for me, it was like other little visual cues. I mean, during one of Firefly's explosions, if it would have blown up like in the shape of the Cobra logo, which I think it happened once or twice in the comics, that was like his signature or something, that would have been cool. Um, I did like the little nod to the Adventure Team. Um, that was in the movie with Colton's team. I think it was kind of cool. I mean, I left that theater. I want to get a Joe Colton figure. I want to get the Firefly figure. I now want to get the Ninja Duel Snake Eyes because this is the next thing I want to talk about. Unlike Rise of Cobra, the accessories the action figures come with are used in the film. Like, if you get that Ninja Duel Snake Eyes, and you're like, well, why does this sword have like a wood handle and all that? It's explained in the movie. That is the Arishikage blade. That is the sword of the clan that he is given to apprehend Storm Shadow, and then things happen, and Storm Shadow uses to kill Zartan. Okay, again, a little ambiguous. We're not too sure about that, but that's great. I mean, if you look at the Flint figure, if you look at the Lady J figure, they come with certain colored weapons, certain styles of weapons. They get those in the movie. There's a scene there in Joe Colton's house, and basically Joe Colton's house is like the Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends set, where it's, the cabinet's open. Oh, yeah, your sugar. Open them again. It's an armory. And it's great. And they get their weapons. On the topic of weapons, I was a little disappointed we didn't see more of the Battle Kata system. Really, the only thing I saw Roadblock use was the guns, even though he had the attachments on him, maybe. I know Craig and I were discussing it. I'm not sure if he had the knives in his chest or the blades of the knives, but I know obviously he had the guns, but he also had the baton, and it was on his back the entire time. I mean, I think during the climax scene where him and Firefly are having their final fight, I would have liked to have seen him whip it out and just go boom, boom, and just go beat the crap out of him. In fact, I think that that fight would have been a great opportunity for him to break out the other attachments. We go from a gunfight, then a knife fight, and stuff like that. But it does now actually make sense if the ultimate version does not come with the battle kata weapons, which it doesn't look like, because it does come with the 30. I think it's the 30 caliber rifle he uses with that big drum on the bottom, as well as the 45 caliber handgun. He uses that a lot. That's actually something I was very impressed to see. Is that a lot of times they were using handguns and the smaller weapons as well as the larger rifles. Because that's always something that bothers me. It's like you have it, but it really doesn't get used. So yeah, so I mean, these figures are going to, well, no, they're already out. They come, the accessories they come with are used. Um, the one thing is, I do hope we get a Storm Shadow that's a bit closer to what he looks like in the movie, because right now there's, I think, three Storm Shadows. There's um, the one from Wave 2, which is the 2-star special from Justin Bell. There is the one from the Wave 1 3-pack. There is, which is, and then there's the Wave 1 figure. Um, which is the same as the Amazon preview. So, I mean, so yeah, three. And I know now there's one in the Cobra Invasion set that, Justin gave a very good review that's, very nice, but they don't capture the essence of the character. I mean, he still looks very much like he did in the first film. And maybe that's why we're not seeing it, because they would just re-release a Rise of Cobra Storm Shadow. He has that little short trench coat, which, he doesn't wear a shirt underneath. I don't know why. But that has his swords on it, and the swords combine, and we actually see in this movie the swords combining, which I don't think, I'd have to check any of the figures. I know the Amazon and the Wave 1 don't, and those are, I don't think they combine. So, maybe if we can get a maskless, bare torsoed, because he is, for whatever reason, ends up bare torsoed a lot in the movie, version of Storm Shadow, maybe with a removable coat or something, because I mean, I know the ultimate version is coming, but that's more like the classic Sunbow comic version of Storm Shadow. So, there's that. I mean, the vehicles were there. I mean, yes, the Ripsaw tank, Tread Ripper, whatever it's called, looked a little different, and but it was there. It was cool. The Hiss tanks looked really cool. It was nice to actually see, hey, Hiss tanks. Um, even Snake Eyes had his little ninja cruiser, which I admit looks a little bit different than the toy, because with the toy you have to you have to work in those parameters, and that was my phone going off. So not gonna edit, not gonna do it. Just doing a quick little, hey, look, I'm muting my phone. Boom, done. But yeah, I really don't know. I'm trying not to go over stuff I already said in the What's on Joe Mind recap. Um, One thing I do want to mention is it felt a little jumpy to me at times. Like we saw the Zeus satellites being developed, and then they're in space. Well, I would like to know how they got into space. I'd like to know how Storm Shadow came back. It is sort of shown. You can make an assumption that how he heals burns on his back from the rescue of Cobra Commander sequence, that is how he came back to life, but I would have liked a little confirmation of that. Uh, but I mean, again, and a lot of this was John Chu talked about when we interviewed him, so go listen to that. But if you are on the fence about going to see this movie, go see this movie. It's a fantastic G.I. Joe movie. Rise of Cobra, I was sitting there a lot, and I was saying, well, okay, this is nice, but these really aren't the characters I know. This is not the GI Joe I know. And with the exception of a little bit of the banner between Roadblock and Duke, because I mean, it just there was stuff that Duke said in the movie that I don't think, from what I know of Duke, he would do or say. But outside of that, this is like a GI Joe movie. This was the GI Joe movie we've been waiting for. This is the GI Joe movie that I sat there and said, okay, these are the characters I know. And I mean, how wrong could it be? How bad could it be when they get a little synopsis of events and you see Major Blood? I mean, I sat there and I'm like, don't care what happens. I saw Major Blood. This is gonna be cool, and it was. So yeah, like I said, this is going up the Saturday after the film debuted. Uh, March 30th. So happy Easter. And yeah, go see this movie. It's your old pal Chuck. I'll catch you later.